everyone. This is Jennifer Sampou, and welcome to my live event today. We have a very special guest, and her name is Linda Timms. She's made this amazing quilt that is a Jen Kingwell pattern, and it was her creation with how to work with my fabrics using Jen Kingwell. So,
hey, Jen.
Hi, Linda. It's always have we launched? Have we launched?
Oh, I know. I've been dealing with website issues all morning, so I'm just like crossing my fingers and toes. So we got it working, so that's great.
Oh, I am so happy to see you, and I love hearing your beautiful voice and accent.
It's so great to see you again, too. It's like seeing a long-lost friend.
Yes, yes, it is, and I miss you. I've been following you. Did you just go to Italy, or are you just coming back?
I'm leaving on next Friday.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, just to kind of inform folks who are on live, Linda is leading, 30-something people
35.
or 50 people?
Yeah, we've got 35 people in our tour group. We're doing a textile tour to Italy. We leave next Friday. The tour starts officially on the Sunday, the 24th, but we'll be the first group going through the new Liberty of London mill over in Milan. So I'm just like over the moon excited. Yeah. And we've got some folks coming from Liberty to join us. Jenny Smith, who wrote the Quilting with Liberty book, is coming with Kay Walsh. So they're doing a trunk show for us after we do the mill tour. And yeah, we're going on to Orophyll and doing a whole bunch of cooking and wine and craft and stuff for 2 weeks. So it's going to be glorious.
It sounds like the best quilters Europe travel trip ever.
Well, it's fun.
I mean, how did you?
Italy's my heart place. So I've been there a number of times, and I've always wanted to take a group of textile enthusiasts and crafter people, because normally too, when we're creative people, we have more than sort of one area that we like to do. So we're visiting a leather studio and a paper marbling studio. We're going to Murano and Burano. We're going to Arezzo for the antique linen market, and Ravenna for the mosaic school there. We're actually doing a little workshop, a mosaic workshop. So it's going to be amazing, and lots of wine. So
yeah. I mean, hopefully you're not getting up every morning at 9 or anything too early like that.
Yeah, it's a full itinerary, but it'll be good. It'll be good.
Oh, wow. Well, will you be posting on your Instagram? Like, how can we follow you?
Yeah, Blue Barn Quilt Co on Instagram, and I'll be hopefully posting pictures every day. So yeah, and we just released our next tour to Ireland next year. We start in Ireland, go to Wales, end at the quilt show in Birmingham, and then on to London to do some stuff with Liberty there again. And we'll be going to France next fall for the European Patchwork meeting. So yeah, I'm living the life.
Wow, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Well, boy, if that's, I want to go.
Come, you should come.
Yeah, I'd love to be able to go and just be one of the folks who gets to, have you do all the organizing and the teaching or whatever.
Yeah, we hire a really good tour company out of New York. So he lets us kind of make the tour whatever we want to do. And that's why we work with him, Journeys Connect. And so I basically give him my itinerary of what I want to do and the places that we want to go. And he does all the work and makes it all happen.
Oh.
So
fabulous. Yeah. Oh, great. Okay, good. Then where do we go to get that information for your tour?
Website, bluebarnquiltco.com. Yep, it's all there under tours.
Okay. Yep. Great. So anyway, let's talk about today.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to share with the folks out there how I met you.
Okay.
And what a love that you are. Oh. Not only are you this creative genius, you homeschooled 4 children. Is it 4?
All my 4 kids, from kindergarten to grade 12. Yep.
And you just have a very interesting background. You're smart, you're dynamic, you're creative. And you came to my Santa Fe workshop,
which was amazing.
Yeah, with the Madeline Island School of the Arts. And when I just saw you working in your corner, cutting up those beautiful ombres and doing your floral and just spending time with you, I just like, oh, she's one of my people. And it was so nice.
You're one of mine too, Jen.
Thank you. But it was so nice to have you in class. That you were definitely a mover and shaker.
It was so great being there. So I'm trying to make next year work again.
Oh, good. Yeah, Michelle and Jolene signed up.
Jolene messaged me. So yeah, I'm just trying to work out the details so that I could be there. It was so great. It was probably the best workshop I have ever done in my quilting sort of journey. It was really liberating and freeing and just so creative, and just how you led us and started each day with, you know, sort of a verse from, oh, it was so good. It was so good. I was moved to tears a number of times through the week, just with just how it, you know, talked to my soul with George O'Keeffe and everything that she had gone through as a woman artist, and just that whole thing about claiming that title of artist. I think sometimes as quilters, we have such a hard time doing that. So it was amazing for my soul. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Well, you did touch upon the point where so many of us have more than just one interest.
Mm-hmm.
We're not just quilters. We're so
Yep.
many other creative things. And I agree to learn, or even if the person's not alive, I mean, to learn from Georgia O'Keeffe or any other artist, to read about them, to be inspired by is wonderful way to jumpstart your own projects.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's talk about that gorgeous quilt in the background.
Yeah.
So this quilt, I'm gonna just say, when I started putting together my chalk and charcoal lookbook, I knew it was coming. I had new colors. This is the whole chalk and charcoal group. I think there's 114 colors now.
Yeah, there's a lot now.
When I was putting a lookbook together, I'm like, I need to get Linda Timms involved. And so we had a conversation, and I was like, well, what do you want to do? She's like, I don't know. What do you want me to do? I'm like, I don't know. It always starts with like, I don't know. What do you want to do?
Yeah.
And we landed on Jen Kingwell's.
Yeah.
Yes. Hold that straight up, Linda. We landed on the Quilt Recipes book. And let me hear your perspective, Linda, of this process.
Yeah,
of how you chose
I
this
love
quilt.
everything Jen Kingwell, right? You know, with Stocking Liberty in the shop here, we do a lot of, I carry all Jen's patterns in her books and everything, and I just love them. And this new book came out, and I mean, here's the Daylesford in the book there, and it's just gorgeous in soft colors and stuff. And it's medallion, and, you know, all these little intricate little blocks in there. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, that would be great for the ombres, right? Because you can use very few colors, but you get all this gradation, and it just makes it sing, right? And I remember talking to you about, okay, what are my limitations? Because I like to know sort of what the boundaries are. Yeah, all the fabrics, but then it just had to be Robert Kaufman. I'm going, okay, well then I can use the sky ombres in here too with the chalk and charcoal. And then I thought, oh my gosh, I can add the Essex linen in there too, because I love using different substrates, and I love the metallic because it gives it a little bit of a shine. And so I love everything about all these fabrics, but my favorite fabrics are your ombres, because it's like painting with fabric, and you get all this movement and light and color, that's just, it sings to my soul, right? It's really like painting with the fabric. So to bring in all of those different colors and textures together. The chalk and charcoal has a really neat texture. It reads like a solid, but it's got the texture to it. So it works really well with the linen. So I just kind of, what I did is I cut a whole bunch of pieces. So like a parts department, Victoria Finley Wolf always says, okay, prepare your parts department. And so I just cut a whole bunch of pieces in the widths of the strips and stuff. I made all the little blocks first to start with. So you can see like the crosses and the flying geese and stuff, and did sort of those parts of the quilt first, and then kind of worked around it, and then didn't sew anything together until I had it all up on the design wall, and I was kind of happy with how the colors work next to each other and stuff, like you do when you do your log cabins, right? You kind of put it up there, stand back and play. And then sometimes I leave it for a day or two and look at it in different light, different mood, and see if it's working for me still, and then sew it all together. So once it was all up on the design wall, it goes pretty quick. It's like a medallion, right? You're just adding the pieces around and around. So yeah, it was fun to put together. It was like playing. It was really great.
Yeah. And you know what I love about it is it's so different than the original. Like, I love Jen Kingwell's work. I love her florals. I love her fabric lines.
Yeah.
She hand pieces, I think, like 95% of her work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I have so much respect, admiration, and love for Jen Kingwell. And so it was really fun for me to see her pattern and it feels completely different with my fabrics, and how you chose like a dark, rich center, like right there, you just broke the rules with like, okay, I'm going to do a very different take on this.
Yeah. Well, I thought maybe too, it might be neat to add a little applique something in the center then too. I kind of, when I was beginning thinking about that, but when I saw it at the end, I was like, no, I'm just going to leave that the way it is. I like it the way it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I like about this pattern is that it looks like you can study flying geese, you can study the crosses, you can study pinwheels.
Yeah, there's a lot of technique in those little tiny blocks, right? So we're actually going to do this as a class through the shop because there's so much in it with all those different little pieces and with the color part of it. And yeah, there's a lot that you can go through and process with it for sure.
Yeah, and your value work. I mean, let's not forget
value.
How important the value work is in your piece. Like it's I see it up on the screen, but it's also nice. You know, I'm also holding it right in front of me. And your balance of values is really good. You know, you've got your darks up here, but you balance it with some dark down here. You've got your reds and your reds. I mean, it's just really nice flow of color.
Yeah, value is that it's that funny thing, like color always gets all the credit for what a quilt looks like, but it's really the value properties of it that really make it work together. Yeah. So value is that unsung hero.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Yeah, I had actually taken Jen's pattern and she does a pictorial view of it and then wrote in every piece cutting measurements. And so I ended up doing a little spreadsheet so that I could read it like linearly. That's how my brain works. And so then I put all the strip pieces and the measurements and then the cutting pieces and sort of organized it that way too. So I'm happy to share that that spreadsheet with anybody if anybody wants it to. It just worked a little bit better for me rather than sort of looking around and around the picture that she used.
I haven't made this quilt, but if I approached it, I just cut everything bigger.
Yeah.
And I'll do it all big. And then I would like each piece, then I would cut to order. You know, like I would just have, but you know, I don't get the award for, you know, and then I have the scraps and I do the little scrap piecing, but I do not get the
beauty of it. You know, we all work at this process in a different way. And I always say when people come into the shop, I always say there's no right and wrong. You know, there's traditional sort of rules of quilting, but we can break those too, right? And you just have to make something that sings to your heart and your soul and gives you the joy while you're making it. And it doesn't matter if anybody else likes it.
Right.
You know?
So yeah, 100%. You know, 100%. If the process isn't bringing you joy, then you're not going to keep up with it.
No.
But let's see, what else do we want to talk about the Daylesford? I know we're selling the bundle. On our website, and it's shipping October 2023. We don't have exact ship dates yet. Are you selling the bundle as well? Or
I will, but I'll coordinate it when I get back from Italy. Yeah.
Right. So when you get back.
Yeah.
So I'll be buying the bundle. And then we had a conversation back and forth with Jen Kingwell. So,
hey Jennifer, I absolutely adore your version of my Daylesford quilt made in your chalk and charcoal fabric range. I made this quilt wanting it to be an adventure for everybody. I actually called it the log cabin sampler medallion come improv whatever style quilt, but you've really nailed it with your new fabric line. It looks beautiful and it's inspired me to want to make it in those colors.
One of the things I've had people say, like, oh, I can't buy the pattern alone. I have to buy the whole book.
Yeah.
Well, yes, you do.
Yeah.
You do.
And it's worth it. It's worth it because all the patterns are fabulous. So yeah, it's a book that I put in my collection before I put it in the shop, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So you as a shop owner, you know what you want to get behind. Yeah. Because you look at the product and you're like, I love this book and it's worth it. And it ends up being, you know, if you make, she's selling it, she's giving us a 30% code on her Amity Textile website.
Yeah, then go do it. It's worth it.
Yeah,
for sure. Wow, that's great.
And you use the code Sampou. Yeah, it's a great book. But most of our patterns are just individual patterns.
Yeah.
And let's talk about the quilting. How did you decide on the quilting? Because the quilting,
Yeah, it's a little bit modern. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's just a wishbone quilting pattern that I used. I was really trying to think of something because it's a little bit more modern of a take with the colors and just the texture of the fabrics and stuff. So I wanted something that kind of spoke to that part of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I also wanted the quilting to kind of melt into the background of it, right? Because
Yeah.
it's not the quilting that needs to be the star of this show. It's the fabrics and the pattern that kind of you want to shine.
Mm-hmm.
So that wishbone pattern is a really nice all over design that just kind of melts nicely into the background, but supports what's going on in the quilt as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And did you do this on the long arm, I'm assuming?
Yep. Yeah, I have I actually have 2 long arms in the shop, so I quilt for other people as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're just programming.
Yep, it's computerized. Yep. Yep. Yeah, so it's an all over edge to edge. That doesn't mean that I can put it on there and walk away. I watch it the whole time and make sure that everything's matching up and stuff. And you have to advance it and stuff. There's a whole process with it, but yeah.
A month. I've been traveling for 5
You've been doing a lot of traveling.
and I was in Barcelona, and I've got to share a picture to you guys of my new obsession is Antonio Gaudí, who is that famous architect of Spain, and Barcelona is filled with his architecture, and one of the most famous is his Casa Batlló, and I just have to show you guys a picture. That's me and my husband. That's the exterior of the top of the building.
Isn't that phenomenal?
It's so, talk about mosaic. I mean, he would go to, and he was so ahead of his time regarding recycling. He would go to all the potters and get the broken goods, the second goods. And that's what makes all of these beautiful mosaics all throughout his work. And everything is curvy, and everything is inspired by his observation of nature. And of course, his most famous building is La Sagrada Familia, which is that big church that they've been making for over 100 years.
Wow.
So I haven't been on live. I haven't been in my studio. This is my first day back.
Wow. Well, welcome home.
So thank you. So you're easing me into it. What else do you want to share with us today? I mean, this is a time for me to highlight you, and
I can show a couple other quilts that we've done recently with some of your fabrics.
Sure,
if you'd like to see. Well, I've got the log cabin one that we did a while ago.
Everyone loves seeing quilts. Oh, right. I was just telling Jean Wells. I was talking to Jean Wells yesterday of the Stitch and Pose, and I said how you did the Liberty. Can you show a little bit more? You did the Liberty with the ombre. Show it up close. Oh my gosh, that's beautiful, Linda.
Yeah, it was a real fun one because it took your log cabin pattern and it took probably about 50-50 of the sky ombres, and then again the Liberty. I often highlight Liberty when I'm doing quilts up, and then threw in a couple Essex linen metallics again because it makes it shine and it's unexpected. And when people think of Liberty, they think of, my grandma sewed with Liberty, or my grandma made, my mom dresses, and we have all these quilts with little pieces of leftover fabrics, from 100 years ago. So we think of it sort of in that traditional way, and I always like to kind of modernize it because it's a really useful fabric and can be used in so many different ways. And so you pair it with like your ombres, which are very modern, and throw in again a couple Essex linen metallics, and now it's really fun, and to see those Liberties unexpectedly there. And then we just did another one too. It's just the quilt top, it's not quilted yet, but you can see how great the ombre works in this one.
Oh, wow. And so now you're using the bigger chunks of Liberty, and you let that ombre do that work of having it's in a way, it's the negative space. Is that a sawtooth star? What's your pattern?
It's a free pattern. It might be a Moda free pattern actually.
Oh, okay.
And it's just all flying geese. This is Sally Kelly's new Atlantis line. So I kind of wanted it to look like the ocean. You know, and I kind of think that, you know, when you're if you were, I'm not a scuba diver, but if you were a scuba diver down low and looking up and you could see the light coming through the water, sort of in the center of
Yeah.
it. So it's just a lot of fun. And Sally Kelly used to be an in-house designer at Liberty, and she's designing on her own now. And this is her third line called Atlantis. So it's got kind of that Liberty-esque look to it as well.
Who's printing it? Who's printing it?
Who is printing it? You know what? I've got it right here on the bench here. I'll just take a quick peek.
That's okay. I saw it off the top of your head, but
yeah,
Sally Kelly. So someone.
Yeah. Does it say on the salvage? Wyndham.
Oh, Wyndham.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
So now let me ask you this, Linda. When you're mixing Liberty of London, My Sky Ombres, and then something like, you know, the Essex linens, how are you feeling with the substrate transition? Do you pre-wash?
I don't pre-wash. I'm not a purist that way. I don't pre-wash anything because that's more.
Yeah, I don't either.
And actually, I've got Bernie and Shelley Tobish here this week teaching some classes and doing machine maintenance, and they're the Acorn Precision product people. And Shelley taught a class, and she pre-washes everything. So again, you know, you can do what works for you, right? But I don't. For the most part, I don't. If I have a dark red or a dark blue, I'd probably pre-wash it just to test it. But I generally don't pre-wash, and I don't worry about what it's going to wash out like, because it's all going to wash out just fine. Yeah. I put my washing machine on a low spin cycle, so I don't worry about it. If I have a wool bat, I don't worry about it pulling out that way. And I dry my quilts in the dryer too, not fully dry, but then I'll lay them flat to finish drying. But you know, if it doesn't go in the washer or dryer, it doesn't live at my house, you know, so it has to be easy.
Yes. No, I know this. I'm making this really beautiful quilt, and it's going to my son's college, the house. He's living with 10 guys. Yeah. I'm like, you know, the quilt's durable, and it's gonna be thrown in the wash a lot. Yeah. And it's a beautiful quilt, but he's so excited to get it. Like, if you can't wash and wear it.
Yeah, they're meant to be used, right? I made a quilt for my mom, and she won't use it. She hangs it over her balcony so that she can look at it. And I'm like, Mom, use it.
Well, she's treating it like a piece of art on her. So at least it's not folded up in like some, you know,
covered somewhere. Yeah.
Okay, so I got a question for you, Linda. One of our customers said, "Do you starch?"
I use the Acorn Precision piecing spray. It's a starch-like product, but it's not starch in it. I really like, it's all natural ingredients. There's no other things that you hear about being in some of the other sprays. I really, really like their products. So that's what I use in my shop, and that's what I use in my studio.
Yeah, I like to starch too. You know, I'm one of those, I never eat the same thing every morning for breakfast, and I will never do my quilt. I'm just not a person of extreme consistency. I'll starch in the winter and iron in the winter because it feels good. And then if it's hot in the summer, I just use my little brayer to flip and turn. Yeah. So I'm very much mood oriented of like, what do I feel like today? And
that's the beauty of it.
And you wouldn't know looking at my quilt, oh, this must have been made in the winter, or this must have been made on a hot summer's day. You don't know.
No.
It's more about like, what are you feeling with your work? Where are you at?
Yeah.
I mean, for sure having, like, I've been sewing since I was 6. So I'm this very seasoned craft person, artist. So I'm able to, you know, make those calls as I go, because I know the precision cutting and the precision, making sure your 1/4-inch seam or your scant quarter, like those consistencies must stay true if you're doing a precision piece, like a log cabin or like Jen's piece. But if we're doing Georgia O'Keeffe work,
and that's the
you're really opening up.
Yeah, and that's the beauty, and that's where all the creativity comes into it too, right? I love that.
So let's see, what else? What other? So you've got all these fun things planned for travel. How's the shop going? I know that your shop is fairly new. Tell us about the shop.
Yeah, we opened up, we started building the shop right before COVID hit. So that delayed, it turned an 18-month project into a 3-year project and more than doubled the budget. So, but I'm still married, so it worked out. Because it was my husband and my son. My husband's an engineer and my son's a carpenter. So they did all the building. So we had a few conversations along the way. And the day that we were moving all the fabric into the shop, because of course I'd been collecting for 3 years now, ordering stuff because we kept seeing, you know, when the opening date was going to be. But anyways, we opened up September 2nd of last year. So it's been a year, and it's just going,
Happy
it's going
birthday.
great.
Happy
Yeah,
birthday.
thanks. Yeah, it's been neat. We run a guild out of the shop. So we've actually got a guild meeting tonight, and we've got Tim Natar as our guest. And
She's
yeah, we're doing the
amazing.
traveling. We're doing, yeah, lots of classes and stuff. So it keeps me busy.
Yeah.
Keeps me very busy.
Tim Natar's
Oh,
work is amazing.
phenomenal, hey?
So,
Yeah,
and she's such a lovely
yeah,
human. She's so,
yeah.
yeah, she's great.
Yeah, I'm looking well, you were a guest just for our second month, actually, that the guild was around, and then you came and did the workshop with the table runner. So we get all kinds of great fun people into the guild from all over the place. So I've just been really, really enjoying that part of it.
I totally forgot that piece that I
Yeah,
taught for you. Yeah,
yeah,
like we were, that's right. I
yeah.
mean, that was so long ago, wasn't
I
it?
know,
It
it's
feels like,
crazy. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's so nice that we're back to
Oh,
traveling, right? Back
right.
to
I
seeing
know.
another in
In
person. Um,
person. Yeah.
what is the town again that your shop is in?
Well, we're located on my farm. We have a farm. We're 30 minutes west of Edmonton, Alberta, so central Alberta in Canada. The closest town to us is 15 minutes away at Stony Plain. So I don't see any traffic on my road. I get my mail at the mailbox at the end of my driveway. It's quiet and rural. So it's funny when people come in the shop. The first thing is they say is, wow, I wasn't expecting this. It's a beautiful timber frame shop, and it's bright and airy, and yeah, it's really, I love it, and everybody else seems to love it too. So I feel very fortunate, you know, because the thing is, you meet so many lovely people through this journey, and you find quilters are quilters are quilters, are artists are artists are artists all over the world, and it makes the world really small. So
Yes.
it's the best part of it is the people that you meet through it. So
Yeah.
yeah, like I met you.
Yeah. I know. And then you bond
Yeah,
with other ways,
yeah,
you know, but we're always coming back to color and fabric
yeah.
and design.
Oh, it's the best. It's therapeutic, right? It brings our heart rate down. It kind of gives you balance in life. Like, honestly, I don't know where I'd be today if I didn't have my quilting.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I feel the same way. I mean, I was traveling for 5 weeks, and with my family, and then seeing my extended family on the East Coast. My son just moved to New York City
Wow.
back in May, and then my sister's in Newport, Rhode Island, and my mom and my other siblings are in the Cape.
Yeah.
So it was really nice, but I didn't bring a lot of projects.
Mm.
I really work at my machine.
Yeah.
I'm trying to increase my hand stitching because I
Yeah.
do enjoy it, but I pack such a small suitcase. I mean,
Yeah.
literally, I'm like, we're not checking anything.
Yeah.
I'm on the plane, so I was very,
Yeah.
very, very tight with my packing.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to decide what project I'm going to bring with me to Italy to work on, because I'll be there for the 2 weeks with our group, and then my husband and my best girlfriend and her husband are coming, and we're traveling for another couple weeks. But I like to have, I've sort of not shifted my focus, but I'm really trying to incorporate something handwork, whether it's hand piecing or EPP or applique or something that I can be doing with my hands. Embroidery, you know, you can take quilt blocks or a quilt that you've made and add hand stitches to it. I'm looking too now for long arm patterns that leave space that I can add some hand stitching to it and incorporate both the machine and the hand. I do most of my bindings now with a big stitch hand stitch on the front of the quilt so I can see the stitches. And I just like the whole, you know, the traditional sort of come full circle to all the handwork part of it. So we're kind of doing a little bit of focus at that in the shop too, with classes that we're doing and stuff. But I just find it helps ground me.
Yeah. And having the handwork is really beautiful. It's a beautiful way to finish a binding. Or you know, I've been now stitching, instead of writing my name, or I'm stitching it in.
That's awesome.
And on the front which is a lovely thing to do,
Yeah.
you know, shine your work.
Yeah, absolutely. Like even a lot of the Liberty prints that were designed, they think they can attribute most of these designs to one woman because they have a very similar pattern and color and stuff, but all they have is her initials. So she was never given credit for the design, which, you know, again, goes back to Georgia O'Keeffe and her whole journey and everything too, and women being artists and getting the credit that's due to us,
Well,
right? So
yes,
we have to claim that.
as a textile designer, you know, we were not, there was very few people given credit when I first started in this industry in 1989.
Yeah.
Very few. And I remember I was 22
Mm.
and Robert Kaufman had Deborah Lund and Michael Maroka.
Mm-hmm.
And then Erwin Bear, who was my old boss, I said, you know, I think we need to start putting people's names on it. It was like here and there, but really not.
Yeah.
And then now every piece of art or every piece of fabric you see, at least in our industry, has person's name on it.
And
even
it
if
should.
it's, yes, it should. Absolutely, it should.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's great. That's great. And then the hand stitching is another way to give it that hand person, you know, that hand touch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So awesome to see you.
Good to see you too.
Oh,
Have you gotten any massages lately? Are you taking care of yourself? Because you can't work too hard.
Yeah, no, I'll have to wait for Santa Fe for that.
I know. We one night we're like, okay, I think I'm like, I need a massage. You need a massage? Yeah, I need a massage.
Yeah, massage and a glass of wine, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So self-care is important. You know,
it is.
That you're taking.
It's very important.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, I was going to yoga a lot lately.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, after traveling, I mean, traveling is so stimulating and it's great. I mean, like, but I'm like a sponge, and I was like a sponge that had gotten so full, I started to just drip, right? And so when I came to California home, I didn't even unpack all my bags. The first thing I did the next day was a 2.5 hour breathing yoga.
Wow.
Kundalini workshop. And I felt it was exactly what I needed. You know, the quiet, grounding. Yeah.
That's perfect. Awesome.
So anyway, I think let's see, anything else that we want to do with wrapping up? You know, I know you've got a busy day and you've got a lot to do, but again, your quilt is featured in my lookbook. The lookbook is free download at jennifersampou.com. If you're in Canada, order your fabrics through Linda Timms at the Blue Barn Quilt Co. Then you don't have to pay for the shipping over the border. And anything else you want to say, Linda?
No, it's just so great to see you, Jen. And thanks so much for the opportunity to be a part of your lookbook and be a maker. And I just love how you support and bring everybody into that world. And you're awesome. Oh. I just love you.
Thank you. It's my favorite part about my job.
Yeah.
Seeing, looking and seeing what you did. I mean, I would never in a million years have thought that's what she should make, or I wouldn't even come to my brain. So thank you. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Jen.
Talk to you soon.
Take good care.
You too.
Yeah.
Bye.